heresy. For the first time, soldiers of Christ were employed with full crusading status to combat heresy in the very heart of the Christian community. The walls of Carcassonne witnessed an indiscriminate massacre of heretics and Orthodox. Women and children were burned to death. The atrocities were blamed on the vagrants hired by the Crusaders. As the Crusaders saw heretics defying them from the high walls of the castles, they decided to adopt a policy of systematic destruction. The Albigensian Crusade ended in 1229 with the annexation of Carcassonne to the French domain. The old idea that it was impossible for the king to control the south died. It is believed King Louis IX acquired the crown of thorns worn by Christ on the cross. Today, the Cathedral of Notre Dame exhibits this crown, which is linked to the crucifixion. It is shown only once a year, during Easter. Believing he would demonstrate his contributions to the kingdom in the sight of God, he rearranged royal tombs at Saint-Denis, placing those of the Merovingian and Carolingian kings on the north side and the Capetians on the south side. This was meant to show that it was during the Capetian period, of which he was a part, that great changes heralding the French state occurred. He led a humble life, playing host to more indigents than any other king. He was imitating the life of Christ, tending lepers with his hands. He even ordered punishments for those who used bad language or swore by God, Our Lady, or the saints. But his example did not last. The voyages of merchants to new lands, where they found wise men who did not know the gospel, had a crumbling effect on the teachings of the church. Disillusionment was followed by doubt. Soon enough, bankers and navigators from Italy ended the long period of the French supremacy in the European community. He had control of the church, and the Curia was full of French cardinals. In 1305, the College of Cardinals elected Pope Clement V, who then established the papal administration of the Holy See at Avignon. The city remained the official residency of the popes for decades. Pope John XXII, who built the Palace of the Popes, recreated the majesty of Rome on Frankish soil. The close relationship of the papacy and the kingdom led to political changes. In April 1302, in front of Notre Dame in Paris, the first dialogue between the papacy and the King of France took place. The Pope wanted a reform of the kingdom and the Gallican Church. At the time, the royal household had problems. In one scandal, the wives of the sons of Philip IV tainted the image of the French crown. The church pressured the king, and all the men with whom the princesses committed adultery were castrated and burned alive. In the next century, plague brought death to the kingdom. The year was 1348. Bubonic plague spread by the fleas of rats and pneumonic plague transmitted in saliva both struck that year. The mortality rate was frightening. In the Paris region alone, 4 or 5 million became ill in one summer and died. The Black Death destroyed the labor market, causing surviving workers to demand higher wages, in some cases nearly 3 times. Peasants were willing to pay more taxes. Their money, however, subsidized the legendary 100 Years' War between France and England. The French army failed against English forces at Crécy, Poitiers in 1356, and Agincourt in 1415. After the Battle of Agincourt in 1415, Henry VI of England was crowned King of England and France in a ceremony held outside of Saint-Denis. Nevertheless, his crown would soon fall at the hands of a young woman. Joan of Arc's personal story starts here in Domremy, her birthplace. The official record of her trial indicates that at the age of 14, Joan started hearing voices and seeing visions of the archangel Saint Michael. Her mission: crown the king and free France from English occupation. On March 6, 1429, after a journey in which she traveled dressed as a man for safety, she spoke at Chinon to the uncrowned King of France, Charles VII. In this place, Charles VII put Joan of Arc to the test. He disguised himself as a member of the royal household and had someone else impersonate him. But Joan picked him out of the crowd, even though she had never seen him. The Dauphin was skeptical at first, but all his doubts fell away when she reassured him that he was the rightful heir to the crown of France. He believed her, but he had her examined by theologians and even a group of women who confirmed she was a virgin. Despite all this trouble, the king's men needed a sign. She, in turn, challenged them, saying, "In God's name, take me to Orleans, and there I will give you incontrovertible proof that I have been sent by God." Whether she was the legitimate vehicle of divine intervention was never decided, but her energy and self-confidence led the troubled King Charles VII to believe there was hope to regain the crown. In 1429, when she was only 17, the king named Joan of Arc commander-in-chief of the French army. On May the 8th of the same year, she took Orleans, then occupied by English Burgundian forces with only a small group of warriors. For the English, this was the beginning of their expulsion. On July 17th, Charles VII was anointed king at St. Rheims Cathedral. The innocent peasant girl from Domremy had become the English crown's worst nightmare and embarrassment. For the French, Joan's accomplishment provided hope. She was the light long awaited for. The English were unable to reverse the damage, but their clout with the church would ultimately destroy Joan of Arc, the symbol of their weakness. It is said they paid a large sum to the Burgundians for her transfer to their hands. After 13 months of an astonishing military career, Joan was taken prisoner and secured at Rouen, where the English kept their most guarded dungeon. She was charged with crimes relating to heresy. Some claimed she had beaten all those reluctant to join her. She was burned at the stake on May 30th, 1431. 25 years after her death, her conviction was reversed. In 1920, the church beatified her and later made her a saint.